Hi, my name is Carol Mitchell and I'm with Caribbean Reads, and I'm going to read a book today that I wrote. It's the second book in the Chee's Adventure series, and it is called Chee's Big Plan. So Chi-Chi's a monkey. He lives on the island of St. Kitts, which you'll learn in the story. And I wrote a series of books about him and about how he came to get to know a young man named Mark, and they became friends. So this is the second book in the series. The first book is recorded, and you can check our website, caribbeanreads.com, and look for that book, Chi-Chi in Paradise, and you can see a recording of it there. But today I'm going to read from the second book, which is called Chi-Chi's Big Plan. So I hope you enjoy it. Chi-Chi's Big Plan by Carol Otley Mitchell, which is me, illustrated by Anne Catherine Liu. Chi-Chi is a vervet monkey. He lives on the beautiful island of St. Kitts. He lives with his 7 sisters and brothers. The youngest is growing up, but still hangs on under his mummy's tummy sometimes. One day, quite by accident, Chi-Chi and his younger brother John John discovered a wonderful abandoned garden, a monkey paradise full of fruits of every kind. They had only been to the garden one time, and Chi-Chi was determined to go again. He imagined he and his brothers spending their free time swinging through the fruit trees, eating whatever they liked. No one lived in the house with the garden, so the monkeys could eat and play without being disturbed. Unfortunately, they couldn't just scamper over the wall into the garden and eat until their tummies were full. No, the house was completely surrounded by danger. There was something or someone on every side of the house to keep the monkeys away. 3 Rottweilers lived in the house on the left. Very fierce dogs who spent most of their time curled up in the shade of the front steps of the house. If the monkeys even set 1 foot near their garden, the dogs would be up on their feet, barking with a deep, ferocious bark that made even a brave monkey like Chi-Chi run for cover. The house on the right was even worse. Not only did a fierce dog live there, but there was an elderly man who was always at home. He carefully tended his garden, and he didn't like it when Chi-Chi and his brothers ate the fruit from his trees. He couldn't move very quickly, but he would stand near his dog and shake his long, thick walking stick to chase the monkeys away. Shura, the dog who lived in the house behind the monkey's paradise, was quite mild-mannered. She was very friendly towards people, but she disliked monkeys and would snap and snarl if they came near. Chi-Chi had made it past Shura once before, and that was when he had discovered the abandoned garden. He had not been able to get past her since. The monkeys would have loved to have entered the garden through the front gate, but the road in front of the garden was busy with vehicles all day. Chi-Chi's older brother Moore thought they could get past the cars, but brave as Chi-Chi was, and as delicious as the fruits in the garden were, he would not take a chance with the traffic. Chi-Chi, Moore, and John John drew a picture of the problem. They drew a square for each house. The box in the middle was their garden, and Chi-Chi marked it with an X. He used stones for the dogs and people in the other houses. He moved the stones from one position, then another. "There must be a way in," he said at last. "Let me go," John John pleaded. "I can get by, I know it. Anyway, it's my turn. You spent hours in the garden last time." Chi-Chi thought about the wonderful time he had spent collecting fruit in the garden. Well, Chi said thoughtfully, every lunchtime, Shura sleeps soundly under the ginger lilies. If she stays fast asleep, and the three Rottweilers are also asleep, we could run along the wall of her house and jump into our garden. But if any of them awake, Chi continued, it's big trouble. You can hide in Shura's garden, but it's a long jump from the trees in her garden to the wall of our garden. I barely made it last time, and that was only because I was terrified, Chi added. I can do it, John interrupted. I'm the fastest monkey ever. And to prove it, he sped to the end of the road and back. I don't know, Chi said thoughtfully. It's a long jump. Piece of cake, John said. I'm the long jump champion in my class. And he demonstrated once more, running and taking a leap in front of Chi. You won't have a running start in the tree, said Chi. But John insisted, and eventually Chi gave in. Okay, we'll wait until Shura is asleep on this side of the house. I will stand guard there. He drew an X in the ground in front of Shura's house to show where he would hide. If she wakes up, I'll call out to you and you'll have to run. We can't see the Rottweilers, so we just have to hope that they are also asleep. I'm ready, said John. They'll never catch me. So the monkeys kept watch over the house where the dog called Shura lived. When the sun was at its highest point, Shura felt too hot to roam the yard. She took her customary place under the shade of the ginger lilies and went to sleep. The monkeys waited a while until they thought she was in a deep sleep. Chi approached the wall slowly until he was close enough to touch it. But Shura did not wake up. Chi signaled to John, and the little monkey came running. John scampered up onto the wall and ran along it towards the back of the house. Halfway there, he stopped. The Rottweilers were awake, and they were already snarling at him. Don't panic, Chi said softly. Jump into the trees in Shura's garden. She's still asleep. So little John jumped into the fruit trees and made his way from one to another until he was in the tree next to the wall that separated Shura's house from their garden. It was a plum tree with thick, intertwined leaves and branches, and so he was hidden from the dogs below. He crept to the edge of the furthest branch and stopped. Chi, he cried out in a plaintive voice. I don't think I can do it. Shura rolled over in her sleep. Chi ran to the other side of the front of the garden. Shh, he said urgently. You'll wake up Shura. I can't do it. I can't, wailed John. Chi encouraged him. Of course you can. You're my long jump champion. Remember? You can do it. I can't, John said again. Chi realized John was terrified. Okay, don't fuss, he said. Just turn around and come back before Shura wakes. But he was too late. While Chi was talking to John, Shura had awoken and was walking in John's direction. Shura smelt John and started barking. She ran under the plum tree searching for the monkey. John's body was well hidden, but his long tail hung down just within Shura's reach. She leapt and took a nip at the tempting tail. Ow! John cried, and he scampered through the trees and over the wall to where Chi waited. The two monkeys ran back to their home. John's father wrapped leaves around his tail to soothe the cut. John sat whimpering. I'm sorry. I was so sure I could do it. Don't worry. It's very difficult, and we'll get there one day, Chi comforted him. She wouldn't have caught me if my tail had not been hanging down. That's the only reason she saw me in those thick leaves, said John John. He looked at his wounded tail mournfully. Chee jumped up and answered and shouted, "That's it, John John! You got it! You found the answer!" John John looked puzzled, but he was pleased that he had helped his big brother. Chee said to Mo, "I have a plan. Come with me." The two older brothers left John John nursing his tail and went back to the drawing that Chee had made in the dirt. Chee quickly explained his plan. Mo thought about it and then agreed. Yes, yes. If we move quickly, it just might work. He thought a bit more and then he said, "I'll go this time. I'm bigger than both of you and John John, and if I have to jump from the tree to the wall, I just might make it." The monkeys went searching for what they needed, and they soon found it on a plot of land where a new house was being constructed. A length of rope about 2 feet long, discarded in a coil on the ground. The monkeys picked up the rope. "We'll bring it back soon," Chee assured Mo. They ran back to Shura's house. As they ran, Mo held the rope tightly in his arms. Shura was still awake and alert. She started barking as soon as she heard the monkeys coming. Mo leapt bravely onto the wall with the rope in his mouth. He leapt from tree to tree until he got to the plum tree. Shura also went to the plum tree. She ran in circles, jumping and barking because she could smell the monkey in the tree, but she couldn't see him. Mo tied the rope to a branch and let it hang down until it was just out of Shura's reach. The rope looked, and now it smelled like a monkey's tail. Shura jumped at the rope, barking angrily and trying to bite it, but try as she might, she couldn't reach it. Shura was so busy trying to catch the rope that she didn't see Mo slink into a nearby tree, down the trunk, across the lawn, and over the wall into their abandoned garden. He ate in the garden to his heart's content and gathered fruit to carry back home for his family. The end. So that's the second story in the series of Chee's adventures. There are 5 books in the series, and you can find them online and in bookstores in St. Kitts, in Trinidad, in a couple of the islands, Antigua as well. And you can get a copy of it as an ebook on Kindle. There are 5 books in the series, as I mentioned, so after you finish this one, make sure and come back and find out more about Chee's adventures in their paradise garden. Thanks so much for listening. Check us out at caribbeanreads.com. Look at the books that we have, and you can also email us at info@caribbeanreads.com. We'd love to hear if you enjoyed the story. Thanks and have a great day. Bye-bye.